Good evening, folks. Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Today is Friday, October 7th, 2023. Part 7 of the Anthony DiMaggio interview. The former Yonkers police lieutenant fired over a workplace dispute. Tonight, we get a look at what happened. What happened at the crime scene? Folks, help me welcome Anthony DiMaggio. What's going on, man? I'm actually excited about tonight. I look forward to this discussion. Good evening, Yonkers. It's Friday, TGIF. That means Anthony DiMaggio interview, the series, as it just kind of evolved that way. You know, I didn't really expect this, that it would be a series, but it's a series, man, and people want to see it, so we're talking about it. So, Anthony, how you doing, man? How was it? How was your week? Because we just, saw each other last week. We talked throughout the week. How's it been going? How's everything?
Good. Good. I got a couple of phone calls during the week. A couple of people asking me to clear up a couple of things, mistakes that I had made on previous podcasts, right? The first one is I got a phone call a few days ago. A friend of mine, we were talking on the last podcast about, towards the end of the last podcast, we were talking about this lowlife on the job that was going around using my name, picking up women.
Oh,
he had sex with one of them in front of her 5-year-old kid in a hotel room up on Executive Boulevard in Yonkers, right? Caused me all kinds of problems.
Yeah, he told her his name was your name. Right. He was Officer DiMaggio.
Right. I said that he was some years later, terminated for medical reasons unrelated to that story. Someone called me and said, he threw the kid's name out and said, "Is that the kid you're talking about?" I said, "Yeah, that's him." They said, "He's still on the job."
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's still on the job. He has an even better gig than the fleet unit now. He works up in the courts on the 3rd floor of headquarters.
I mean, he's a police officer. Yeah. But he was using your identity. So, I mean, isn't that impersonating a police officer?
At the very least, it's official misconduct. I mean, it's a misdemeanor. It's, to lose 4 days of vacation over something like that.
Yeah.
And, I'm getting fired allegedly because I cursed at my daughter's mother in text messages. And this guy's out there shooting pornos in front of children.
A workplace dispute is what it is, really, and we're going to get into that. You sent me over some videos of the crime scene. You're going to go through that as I play the video. You've also sent me a copy of the official policy on how that is handled in a situation like that, when you have the patrol commanding supervisor, and then you have detectives, and there's a crime, and who handles it, who takes lead. So where do you want to start?
Just real quick, one more thing. There's other thing that's on my list. Somebody called me who had just watched the 5th episode from a couple of weeks ago and said, "Bro, why did you say you're libeling John Mueller?" I said, "Well, I'm shitting on this guy openly and honestly." He goes, "Well, that's just it. Honestly, you're not libeling him. Libeling means you're lying about him."
Right.
And I said, "Well, I think everybody knows I'm not doing that." He said, "Well, you better clear that up." Well, so here I'm doing that now. Nothing I'm saying about this guy or about any of his cronies is false. John, if you ever want to serve me with a lawsuit saying that you're suing me for libel,
or a cease and desist letter, like I got today. I got a cease letter. There was the word desist was not in the letter at all, and I was questioning whether it was actually sent from an attorney or not. Maybe it was a favor done, and I'll speak about that at another time. But yeah, so you were saying maybe I'll be getting one of those soon, But if it's the truth,
bells and whistles on, bro.
If it's the truth, listen, you can't get sued for speaking the truth, right?
I'm surprised your note didn't come with a dead fish wrapped up in brown paper.
Hopefully, I'm hoping those days are over now. That's the 80s and 90s, but you still have to watch your back. Definitely. Maybe they do it in different ways these days. What do you want me to bring up first?
All right. So before we bring up some of the video, and I do have video, I did send it to Freddie. Let me give a little bit of background. At the time that this happened, I was a patrol lieutenant. I was working midnights in the 1st precinct, which is almost like a different department from the 3rd precinct. I hadn't worked in the 3rd precinct in a lot of years, but I was hanging around at home one day. My buddy Greg Forche called me up and he said, "There's a bunch of lieutenants off today, and there's overtime in the 3rd precinct. Do you want to work?" I said, "Yeah." I would later find out that it was because a couple of lieutenants had taken off and gone down to Nashville with a retired friend of ours, and so I took the overtime, and I went to work the 3 to 11 in the 3rd precinct.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how is that? You know, I've always, and that's something that I just wondered. I don't know why. I mean, I wonder about strange things for no reason, but I've always wondered how it was like to work in the 3rd precinct versus other precincts in here in Yonkers as a police officer. What, you know, maybe just quickly, because, you know, that's why I grew up in the 3rd precinct.
Well, the 3rd precinct is very busy. It's very, very busy. You know, you're going to have more cops working there. You have more supervisors working there. And, you know, you're usually going to have a busier tour, especially on the 3 to 11, which is always the busiest shift. On this particular shift that I was working, where this all hell broke loose, it was a very, very busy shift, which is part of the reason I was even out on the road, you know, going to some jobs and stuff like that. The 2 sergeants were tied up on other jobs at the time that this call came in. So a little bit of background about the video you're about to see. The department does have official copies of this video on a CD. When asked to provide it to my attorney, they didn't. What they gave instead was clips that I had taken. See, on the night before I had to go to Internal Affairs, I knew that when I walked into Internal Affairs, the alleged investigators, the black shirts, right, they were going to pretend that they hadn't seen the video because they knew basically that what happened at the crime scene was wrong on behalf of a couple of the detectives and on the part of Goomba, and that I was basically in the right. Okay. Breadstick Campanini had already admitted that much in an email. So there was no dispute in that. Now, if I know anything about them, and I do, because we spoke about it all last week, I knew that what they were going to do was they were going to pretend that they hadn't even seen the video. So there was no way I was going to let them pretend that. You know what I mean? I was going to make them see it.
Right.
So
they wanted to have plausible deniability, you know, be able to say, no, we don't know, we didn't see the video, right? That's what that was about.
Right. So I went back to the store and I asked the guys behind the counter to replay all of the footage for me. And I took video of the screen with my cell phone. And I uploaded all the videos I took to the department share drive, and I sent Internal Affairs an email telling them that I had done that. So now, in other words, now you can't deny having seen it because I just forced it on you, you know?
Right.
So what they did when my attorney later asked for a copy of the footage from the scene, they sent a link with these clips instead of the official department footage of the incident. So
the clips that you had were sent to them.
Right. So I, you know, for our purposes here, before I brought them to you, I chopped them down to just get to the important stuff. There's one important thing that you're not going to see on them, but I'll explain that when we get to that part in the video. So if you want to bring up the first one.
Yeah,
the call was a man with a gun inside 517 South Broadway. And I'm at the corner of Radford and South Broadway in the patrol car at the light when this call comes over. Now, this was less than 1,000 feet away. And I said, oh, that's right there. So I did what we do. I turned on the lights and I sped toward the guy with the gun down at 517 South Broadway. Now, the rank and file of the Yonkers Police Department is so good that there was actually cops there before me, even though I was only 1,000 feet away or less. Okay, I wasn't even the first guy there. But this is what happened. This is what we would later find out happened. Go ahead. 3 dudes, one with a gun. They follow this guy in. They follow the guy in the red coat in. And they corner him in the back of the store. They pull the gun out on him.
Yeah, let me just show that again. Did you guys see that gun? Right there. He pulls the gun right there. You can see it there. So I'm just going to play it now.
For all I know, he tried to pull the trigger and kill this guy. Maybe it jammed. Maybe it wasn't loaded when he thought it was. I don't know. I would tend to think that if you're going to pull a gun on somebody, you better be prepared to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Well, don't even bring it out.
But that's it from that angle. Right. The guy walks around. This is just from a different angle. You see basically the same interaction, but this angle will show you what happened in the aftermath of him just pulling the gun out and pointing it in the guy's face.
So the guy with the red and black coat was the target.
Right. Had to be gang activity. You know, this guy in the red looks like a bit of a hard ass. He doesn't even look scared. And now he gets pistol whipped. Several times the gun goes flying.
Hit him in the face and head with the gun.
Yep, and now it's a beatdown.
Yeah.
The gun goes flying into the back corner of the store where it would stay.
Wow. I mean, I just don't understand what's going on with kids these days. I mean, why do they think that this is acceptable, man? and involve themselves in this type of activity. I just don't get it. It's like, send me to jail, please. I want to go to jail.
Well, I mean, part of the reason I called the detective division out was not only because there's a gun involved, but in my opinion, this had to be gang activity. I mean,
I would just think automatically with the gun, again, and I don't know, I don't know the policies and, protocol. And so we'll go to 3.
Yeah. Now 3 is.
You want to play it or you want to say something? You want to play it?
Just pause it for a second.
Okay.
I took some notes about these clips that I sent you. All right. So number 3 is just when I arrive and, my entrance to the scene. By the time I get there, like I said, there was already a couple of cops there and they're watching the video of what happened. When I heard a man with a gun inside the store, I thought it was probably a robbery. When I got there, started talking to people, realized it was just a fight with a gun. Maybe it was attempted to be fired, maybe not. Someone got pistol whipped. The gun was still there. So it's a little bit of a mess. Go ahead.
This officer's looking at video here. You come in.
There he is, the unfit LT.
15-year veteran.
Yeah, by the way, tell me how unfit I look in these videos. Tell me how crazy I look.
I mean, unfit in what way?
Crazy, like
got a big belly there.
Guy can't do his job. Well, I did at the time, yeah, right.
Yeah, a little belly there. The donuts. I'm just joking.
Yeah, I'm down about 40 pounds since then.
Yeah, no, I see the difference.
Right. So now there's a couple of people in there who apparently knew what was going on. Oh yeah, the camera from above really highlights the male pattern baldness too.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to point that out. From wearing the hats, man.
Right. So now Ice-T and his buddy apparently saw what was going on.
So you're gathering their information, getting their ID,
right?
Their witnesses.
Right. And once I get the story and we start to watch the video, and I realize this is a job that the detective division should be involved in. Preliminary.
And you realize that because what specifically?
Well, there's a gun there. It's clearly gang activity. I've been out of the loop in the 3rd precinct for a while, so I didn't recognize any of the players on the screen. A lot of the cops at the scene were more or less brand new, so they didn't recognize any of the people on the screen either involved in the incident, either the people doing the attacking or the guy getting a beat down. So since the detectives are always dealing with a lot of the same people in the 3rd precinct, in the 4th precinct, or just citywide,
right?
I thought maybe at the very least they recognize some of the people on the footage.
Right. So that's why you called them, to see if they can recognize them.
And also, it's a gun job. They have ways that they have to process the information about the gun, things like that.
Right.
And also, they just, they're supposed to help the New Jackson Patrol do their jobs.
I mean, if they didn't, if they didn't feel that this was a case that they should take the lead on, then what, how would it be handled? What did they expect? How did they expect it to be handled? The detective.
Well, the first thing they have to do is they have to actually raise that issue. They actually have to say, you know what, LT or Sarge, this is not really what we do. This is not a detective division job. The reason they didn't say that to me, and we'll get to that point in the videos. The reason they didn't.
I was going to say, because they don't even mention that they're going to leave and that you guys should take the lead here. They kind of just, we up out of here. See ya.
Well, they said it in passing to a sergeant on the way out, but there was no dispute brought to my attention. It was a clear-cut case of the detective division should be involved in this. And Timmy Hodges said the same thing to me. And Dan Campanini, who was the captain of the detective division at the time, said it in an email. And we'll get to that in a little while.
Right. I mean, they should have at the very least told you as the commanding officer, there. Should I go to number 4?
Yeah. Number 4 is... Oh, this is just a quick clip of me. See me on the radio there on the bottom?
Yeah.
That's just me calling for the detective division and the crime scene unit to come out. Crime scene has to come get the gun. There was a jacket on the floor. There was a pair of glasses, I think, fell off one of the suspects of the victim.
Process the crime scene, right?
Right.
And so now this is 5, I believe.
5 is just to show you what we were doing for a little while we were waiting for the detectives and the crime scene unit to come out. We were watching the video.
Right.
Okay. It was. Now I took these cell phone clips.
You guys look very focused there.
Yeah, and look, the guys behind the counter are even watching it with us.
Yeah.
You know,
you got an officer also behind the counter there. It appears. And so there's just you guys watching, right?
Yeah, I think it's about another 40 seconds or so, and it's just to show that there was no. I put this in there to show there was really no fighting going on at the crime scene.
Doing what you normally do on any given night where something like this happens.
It was rather routine, right?
Right.
And the video that we're watching, the screen that we're watching, is the screen that I'm recording all of this on.
Oh, okay. You know what? Right. I can see the bottom of it right now. Now that you pointed out. All right, moving on to the next one.
Yeah. Go ahead. Number 6 is
Yeah, and now we got the detectives getting ready to walk in. Okay, so do you want me to stop it there?
Or do you want me to play? Let the first two walk in, and I'll give a little background.
Okay. So the detectives walking in that you had called for.
Right. Yeah, you can pause it there.
2 ladies, detective.
Right.
Shout out to the ladies.
The one in the front is in the blue coat is look, as a human being, she's a gem. Really, really sweet girl. Right. I worked with her in the 3rd precinct. She had a partner and I had my own partner, but there was days where people take off and people get mixed and matched and stuff like that. And I worked with her a few times, always had a good time. And, she was.
Guys hit it off.
Yeah, she's a good person. As a cop, she has a reputation for being lazy. All right. She's really only down at the detective division because I can tell you how that happened. Remember a few years back, there was a shooting and the girl Kayla Marr got winged underneath her chin or whatever. Right. Okay. That night, Kayla was working with this girl.
Oh, okay.
And this girl just, I don't really feel the need to shout her name out on the internet. So I'm just going to call her Red because she's got red hair, reddish kind of hair. So I'm going to call her Red just for the sake of picking a nickname.
Okay.
Now, Red and Kayla Marr were working together that night. After Kayla got winged under the neck, she got a detective shield. That's an NYPD thing. I had never seen that happen in Yonkers before.
When you get a shield after getting
shot.
Getting shot, right? Injured on the work.
Or beaten badly or something like that. When you become a hero in the media, the department makes you a detective because they want to give you a reward publicly. They don't care what your investigatory skills are. Right. That's a New York City thing. Now, Kayla had gotten a detective shield, and this girl, Red, was very upset about it. I mean, I remember for weeks, maybe months, she went around complaining to anybody that would listen that she was the real one that really saved the day. And I mean, she was in there banging it out with this guy. There was a shootout. Right. She was one of the officers returning fire, and there were several others as well. So I'm not saying that she didn't do a good job. She did. Now, I don't understand how that translates into becoming a detective, especially when, your work ethic is reputably not the best.
Right.
But
absolutely.
She did enough complaining, and finally they just gave her what she wanted, and they made her a detective. And her lackluster work ethic in patrol translated into a lackluster work ethic at the detective division. Right. Now,
and that affects the residents, so anyone listening, residents and stuff. I mean, and not to, I'm just saying, and anyone that works for the city, if they're lazy, and don't perform, that ultimately that we pay for it as taxpayers, and we don't get the performance that we're supposed to get. So that has an impact.
Right. So now the one behind her, you remember in the emails that we went over last week, you had asked me a question. Yeah. What is the air car?
Yes.
Right. And I told you the air car is the 1 or 2 detectives that are working at any given moment that are assigned to go handle new jobs that happen during that tour. The rest of the detectives are following up on old things.
Right.
Right. The girl in the front in the blue jacket was the air car. Her, I know for a fact. I believe she had a partner in the air car, and that partner is not the woman standing behind her. Okay, we're going to get to that woman in a moment. I'm going to ask you to rewind a few clicks. But to see who her partner was, to see who Red's partner was that night, go ahead and hit play. We'll let it go forward a few seconds, and I'm going to ask you to pause it again. All right, pause it. Now, this guy is retired, so I have no problem saying his name. This is Mike.
And he's a detective also.
He was a detective, right? There's really no other way I could put it. This is one of the dumbest motherfuckers I ever met in my life. Okay? This guy was too special for the special bus. I think when he was a kid and he tried to get on a special bus, they said, listen, bro, you're too special for this bus. You got to go on the extra special bus. Okay?
And so, but he made detective. How was that?
He made detective because he was good friends with a guy named Frank Cariello, who was a chief at the time that he made detective. So he had steam, right? He was in the academy class with Frank Cariello and a bunch of other guys who had become big shots. He was also partners in patrol with a guy named Neil Cromwell, who he had a bad personality as far as his he had a bad reputation as far as his personality, but he was reputed to be a pretty good cop. So Neil Cromwell, I could see going down to the DD. This guy following behind him is just a tragedy,
right,
of taxpayer money. I can't believe they actually paid this idiot. Now,
and these detectives, folks, get paid a lot of money, 200,000 plus a year. Some of them.
This guy used to wear a bow tie to work. He used to walk around eating those ice cream cups with a wooden stick, licking it and having conversations with people.
Yeah, the Italian ices.
No. The baby kitty
that's what I ate with the wooden stick.
Anyway, it's not important. It's tough for me to describe the guy to you with just a few.
And so he walks in.
Video clip.
Yeah, he walks in, and then So what happens? So now you're expecting them to take over, right? As the detective, you're expecting them to take over, and so
I didn't say a word to them. I just figured they're going to do their job, and
I got some comments here, and I just want to really quick. So I don't know, and obviously this is probably a page that a thing that someone created. And I want to put it up. It's not too crazy. It says he was unfit then. He's still unfit. Another comment. So did you. I know what that means, and this sounds maybe personal. I don't know. Maybe
so did you what?
I don't know. And then we have DiMaggio is a good cop. We need more like him in a time where it's hard to keep good cops on the job. There is a mass exodus of senior cops leaving the job because the administration doesn't support them, and so they're retiring. And then we get Steam, like your father. Come on. And so, and then again, if people don't know, your dad was also a Yonkers police captain, and as well, retired now, obviously.
Yeah, he was, but I was a performer, so it didn't matter.
Right.
My father's name as a captain and never did anything for me. I was in patrol the whole time.
So your dad didn't help you get to lieutenant, or your dad,
no,
didn't pull a favor.
Promotion is the only, and there's a lot of people who say this on the job. This is the term they actually use. Promotion is the only sacrosanct thing on the job. It's the only thing that you can't steam your way into. You have to study. And even the people who can't stand me on the job, which there aren't many of them. Most people like me. I got along with them. Had a lot of friends on the job. I still do. But there are some people who didn't like me for whatever reason. Even they would tell you that I was a performer, that I studied my way through promotions. There was
a time where they didn't hate on you. They may not like you, but they know that you were a good cop. You did a good job.
I've heard a lot of nonsense about me. I never heard that. I never heard that he got things that he didn't deserve, ever.
You were even called a penis, a penis, baby penis, penis junior, right? Somebody left in a bathroom. In the bathroom, they wrote that. The DiMaggio family tree. I just thought that was funny. But
we'll go back to that in a minute. Let's go through.
I want to say this, but detective, you don't have to get detective. You don't take a test, right? It's that's different, right? Than becoming
in some departments you do, not in Yonkers. No, you go through a sham of a review of a detective selection committee.
So that's just a promotion, based on whatever they want to base it on, but you don't have to take a test. Right. Unlike lieutenant where you do it. And I remember, I just want to say this, you did score very well on the lieutenant's test, actually. So I want to put that out there. You are a performer. So I'm going to play here.
Yeah, perfect score is pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, so Paint Chips walks in. That's why I call him Paint Chips, because he eats them by the spoonful. And they go to the back of the store. And they talk to the patrol guys, and they look at the gun a little bit. All right? They're there a few minutes. Oh, but hold on a second. Let me pause. I missed something important. Okay?
Yep. Do I need to go back?
Go back to the previous video. And when they walk in, pause it on these two detectives. Okay. Now, the detective, Paint Chips, was Red's partner that night in the air car. The detective that walks in between them, the one in the black jacket, behind Red, that is, and this is going to be a big piece of the puzzle for people who are wondering how they set me up and got me into this mess. That is my daughter's mother. She and I met on the job when we were both rookies. Probably back around 2008 or so. And we hit it off, and we ended up becoming a thing.
In the blue, right?
In the black, holding
the black. Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was the blue. That's why I had to check. So yeah, the black. You did say black. That's that's the mother of your daughter.
That's my daughter's mother, right?
Okay. I don't like to say baby mama.
I say it sometimes, but no, I mean.
And so, okay, so you guys have a relationship. So, at one point, so you're obviously
right. Now, the only other thing you really need to know about her right now is that she was not the air car that night. She was not responsible for handling new incidents that happened during that tour. And this can all be looked up on the computerized roll call system. Telestaff.
That was the responsibility of the blue coat.
The blue coat, and then the other blue coat,
and the guy you call Paint Chip, correct?
Right. Now, this was around dinner time. So even what Timmy Hodges said to me, yeah, they were going to dinner or something. Like that'll happen a lot. Some other detective will tag along with the air car to go to Garibaldi's or whatever other place down in the area of headquarters where the detective division is located, and they'll just go sit down and get something to eat. I think that's probably what was going on, which is why it took them a while to get out to the scene that night. And Timmy Hodges agreed. He said, "Yeah, of course they handled it this way. You called them during dinner time."
Right. And so they were interrupted by a crime.
Right.
Do I press play or do I move to the next one?
You can go back to the next one now.
All right.
So what you're going to see in this clip is that they have another little brief discussion with a patrolman, and then Red whips out her phone and calls the drunken master himself, Goomba. Watch, you'll see it in a couple of seconds.
So in the blue coat, the female detective, pulls out a phone and calls the guy that you had an altercation with or dispute with.
Maid guy.
Yes, right. You call him a maid guy
himself, right?
And when you say that, is because he was a part of the good old boys club at the top, and even though you outranked him, he still kind of had some power, some pull.
Yeah, you saw the pictures. If if you can pull them up again, and we'll play the voicemail that he left me at the end of the night. Later in the night.
We'll get to that. We'll kind of
we'll get to that
chronological order.
Now here comes the phone. There it is.
There we go. She pulls out the phone. Insane.
There's no glory in this. There's no overtime in this. I don't want anything to do with this, even though it's technically my job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Goomba, who I know is off drinking somewhere, but he's a made guy, so he can overrule the lieutenant, even though he's only a sergeant. And I'm going to ask him to tell me that it's okay if I just get lost and go back to doing whatever it was that I was doing. Eating dinner. She actually leaves the store, as you can see, she just did.
So she leaves the store to talk with the right. And that's her commanding officer, that detective, right, Sergeant?
No, he's not a commanding officer. He doesn't command anything. He's a detective.
So why does she call him?
She calls him because she knows that he will tell her what she wants to hear.
I gotcha. Because he's a made guy.
Right. So I don't want to be here. I was eating dinner or whatever it was I was doing.
How does he have that authority is what I'm saying, I guess.
He doesn't, but he thinks he does. He doesn't according to the policy, which I actually sent you and we'll pull up on the screen in a minute. But he does according to the hidden mafia-like hierarchy that really governs the Yonkers Police Department.
I gotcha.
Okay.
Interesting.
He outranks me in that system.
Yeah. So he dictates what's going to happen, not you, even though you outrank him. Interesting.
Right. So she comes back in after a minute or two on the phone with him.
Yeah. Goes to the back.
Gives a little signal to the other two. Whispers, come on, we're getting out of here, And they dip. They don't watch the video. They didn't do nothing with the gun. They didn't tell me, like, listen, see what the old timers used to do years ago, they would say, look, have the patrol guys write up a job. We'll take care of the gun. We'll call the ATF, whatever it is that we're supposed to do. Right. Have the patrol guys fax the job over to the detective division, and we'll take it from there. There was none of that. It was just what Paint Chips did, which actually not shown in any of these video clips, and this is what really set me off. Okay? Because I had dealt with stuff like this before, but I had never seen this before. Paint Chips actually has the stones to deploy a diversionary tactic. What he says to me before he leaves at some point is he points up and he goes like this with his finger. He goes, we're going to go outside and look around on the sidewalk to see if there's any surveillance cameras on the outside of this building and on the other buildings to maybe see what could have happened. Now,
so he says this just to get him and the other detectives outside.
He says this to make me think like I don't have to follow them out to see where they're going.
Right.
Stay here.
Just hang back for a second.
We're just going to go outside and watch and see and do our job outside. Okay.
Right.
And I say, okay, fine. They go outside. They get in the car and they dip. Gone.
So I
have no idea that they did this.
So you're thinking they're just gonna go check out the security cameras outside. Look, and they even look. Notice how he's looking on the way out, like he's really looking for stuff. Like he's really trying
he's looking
to
in the
do his
garbage
job. Look,
right.
yeah,
Right.
Look, he looks here, he looks there. She does kind of too. Let me look. Let's pretend.
Well, that's Nana. That's my daughter's mother. She really had no responsibility here. It's not her job.
I just thought it was funny. I just because I could see it, and then she's like hesitant really because she knows it's her responsibility, right? She seems hesitant.
You see how she bumps into a sergeant who's just coming onto the scene?
You know what? It looked almost like she wasn't gonna. Because she's not really just going right away, right? So it almost looks like she knows that she's responsible for this, right? And she's trying to figure out how she's gonna creep up out of it. And then when she sees that cop that you're about to mention that's when she makes her move to go to him and like, this is my way out.
Well, I had issues with them before, so they knew that they were going to do this. They had to get past me without me becoming suspicious,
right?
Because I enforce rules that people with steam don't like enforced. Now, that hug that she just gave Sergeant Brian Burke on the way out, that's important because it's going to come into play with something that I read from the internal affairs reports on a future podcast. So just take note of it now. She does bump into a sergeant on the way out. Okay. And there's a couple of words exchanged, very few, but they're going to be important for something that I have to explain down the road.
I saw him at the Cops and Coffee, called Coffee with the Cop, I believe.
He's a nice guy. He's a real good guy.
He seems like a nice guy.
So
she hugs him. This is her responsibility, detective with the blue coat. And then, they up out of there. Right. See ya. And then he comes in.
Right.
And now what's his rank again? I'm sorry.
He's a sergeant.
He's a sergeant, so you outranked him.
See the stripes? You see the stripes?
Yeah, you're his boss.
Right. So now it's me, the lieutenant, a sergeant, and 3 patrolmen standing around. We still have to wait for the crime scene unit to come out to get the gun and to process the scene and whatever. And they came out and they did their job great, like they always do.
Right. And so that's it, right? There's no more videos, right? That was
the last of the videos because they didn't show the rest of it. At one point, if it kept going, you'd see me on the phone talking to my daughter's mother. Because what happens is after about another 10 or 15 minutes,
right, and
the detectives are just gone, I say to the sergeant, I'm like, where did they go? I said to the whole group, sort of like, anyone answer this? Where did they go? And they're kind of looking around like no one wants to tell me. And then I think it was Burke who said, the sergeant said, they left, boss.
Right.
I said, what? Now,
so they tell him, the sergeant, that they're leaving. They don't tell the lieutenant, the commanding officer, that then how do they just get away with that? I mean, how do they just get away with dumping that?
Because they had gotten cover from Goomba. You know what I mean? They called a lower ranking supervisor who's not even on scene and asked his permission because they know he's made. So they can't get in trouble because a made guy gave him permission. And he has all the steam. He has all of the he
has the juice, as we say.
Right. The connections to the top floor to make sure they stay out of trouble as long as they do what he wants.
Right.
And that's something that we'll get to, down the road a little bit.
And so basically the detective that was supposed to be responsible, I just want to kind of sum it up, just did not want to be responsible, didn't want to deal with it. It's dinner time, probably interrupted her dinner, or maybe, she was going to get dinner. It's not something that's going to get me any, any real good publicity. I'm not going to shine, and all that some bullshit. So I'm up out of here, right? And we found a way to creep up out of it. And it could have been also because you had a relationship with one of the detectives there. That personal stuff maybe made it a little easier for her to feel like they could, she could do that.
I don't know. I mean, you'd have to ask her. What I do know is that they later tried to spin it as if I was only making a stink about it because my daughter's mother was at the scene, and she and I have a verbally combative relationship anyway. So,
well, I mean, you could just easily, debunk that by simply saying, no, here's the policy, which we should look at now. And that's what it is. That's it. Nothing more to it. Right. It's cut and dry. All right. So let me pull that up. I got that voicemail there, and we'll get to that as well.
Yeah, that comes in a little bit. I have a little more story to tell before we get to that point. Just a little bit, but.
Okay, so here's the policy here, right? Policy and procedural manual, and it's for a situation like this, right? And to determine how it's taken care of, what's the protocol. So go ahead, you could just tell us what we want to.
I don't see it. It's not up on the screen.
Oh, it's not. Oh, duh. I didn't. Here we go.
All right, now if you look on the top, this is. Can you scroll up a little more?
That's
Okay, all right, I see. It says relationships in the preliminary investigation of major cases. Basically, this is a one-page policy, or no, it's more than one page. I only printed out one page, but this is the important part that applies to a situation like this. If you look at the top of the screen, that date that I have boxed off in red, that's the last time an update was made to this policy.
Wow, 1993.
Right. In the aftermath of this policy, I'm sorry, in the aftermath, I'm a little tired. In the aftermath of this incident, one of the things I was pushing for, I was trying to say, let's make a little bit of revision to this policy because it's so antiquated and outdated. It's basically a policy about how people are going to communicate and decide who's going to handle what when there's a little bit of a dispute about detectives should be involved in this, should they not?
Right.
What's patrol going to do? And it's basically a policy about how we're all going to communicate and come to a resolution. And it was written before anybody had cell phones or even pagers. So what I wanted to do was maybe rediscover it and come up with a way to stop having these disputes, stop situations where people are just calling the maid guy down at the detective division and asking for permission to not do their job, leaving the patrol boss there looking like an idiot in front of 10 of his own subordinates. You know?
But I mean, but doesn't it really? I mean, upon is staying in here, upon arrival at a crime scene, the investigator will assume control and responsibility of the crime scene only when the crime is one of crimes referred in the immediate notification of investigative units in major cases section of this policy. So, right, so you would refer to that, and does this fall into that? Right? I mean,
no, this doesn't fall into that first sentence, which is why I didn't box it off. What that basically says is that, like, murders, first-degree rapes, kidnappings, hostage situations. That's where the detectives are going to show up and take over completely.
Right. Okay.
In other situations that are a little bit bigger than your normal routine calls, but not quite so big where the detectives have to take over completely, that's where the stuff that I have boxed off applies. At any other crime scene, the investigator will assist, advise, and support the assigned patrol officer during the preliminary investigation, which is what I called them out to do at the crime scene that night. At this early stage of the investigative process, the investigator's primary role is that of a supportive consultant to the preliminary investigator. So you're there to help them. You're there to coach them. There's a bunch of new jacks. Okay? Now, they didn't even look at the video. I'm thinking maybe, detectives handle big crimes, shootings, robberies.
Right.
Maybe there's somebody in that video that has a warrant that I don't know about.
Well, so
it says maybe they'll know them by face.
Right. Now, and I understand, and I'm gonna get to that. So it says at this early stage of the investigative process, the investigator's primary role is that of a supportive consultant to the preliminary investigator. So they necessarily don't take lead, right? They're supposed to be more of a supportive assistant role, and so that they say, well, you know what you're doing. You're a lieutenant. You're the commanding supervisor. We're here technically to assist, but you don't really need our assistance because you're a 15-year vet. You know what you're doing, right? We could get up out of here. How does that sound?
Yeah, I mean, that's they didn't want any part of it.
Right. No, but I'm just saying, like, is that something that they could have just said to you, like, I mean, and it would have been.
Yeah, well, probably not, because they are supposed to. I enforce the rules. They already know me. They didn't try to worm around me at the crime scene because they don't know me. They did it because they do know me. They knew
well, I'm going to put this comment up.
Said, no, you guys are supposed to be involved in that. Go ahead.
I'm going to put this comment up here because I kind of, I'm kind of like a social worker also. I used to do that for a long. They left because you're a clown. No one ever respected him. So, that's not nice. That's not nice, Taz, man. But so what I'm saying is this. So, maybe they felt that, what he's not, they didn't respect you in that he's a tough guy, or because I don't like that, because honestly, what I've learned in life is, like, you have to be an a-hole to people, right? Like, you want to be nice to people and you don't want to have to be a certain way, but you have to, because they put you in that position to really gotta ream them and get you know what I mean? Because otherwise they won't respect you being nice, and that's unfortunate that we as humans are that way, right? But so maybe you're because you seem like a very nice guy. Maybe you weren't you're the big asshole, and so you didn't get that respect. Had you been an asshole, like, yo, you better get over here and do your job. I'm your damn commanding officer, mother effer. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I might have done. You know what I'm saying? Where you going? You ain't going nowhere. Get your ass back in there and go and assist. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they knew that that's essentially what I would have told them if they had approached me about it, which is why they did it. The whole point was not to find out if they were.
That's my wife. I probably would have drove around looking for them.
Right. The whole point of what they did was to get around doing something that they know they are supposed to do. There was no
I agree with you though.
Whether or not they were supposed to do it. Now let me tell you.
I agree with you. It's obvious to me that they didn't want to do that. That they didn't feel like dealing with it, like you said. It was dinner time and stuff, and so they didn't at least do due diligence, right? Let me look at these individuals, the suspects. Let's see if they are maybe individuals that are wanted or involved in other crimes, people we've been looking for, known gang members. So you guys can maybe give us some information that you guys may have to help us, since we are the ones having to take the lead, right? And so you didn't do that. You didn't do anything. You just like, peace up out of here. We don't got time for this, right?
Right. And let me just tell you something quick about whoever this clown is. You can keep putting his comments up if you want.
No, and I'm not, and he's got a lot more. He or she, I don't know if it's he, but he's got a lot. It says a man. But listen, this is 2023. I don't want to assume it's a man. But it's more comments. I haven't put up all of them. I just put those two up just because I wanted to, kind of going with what I was saying in terms of they say not respecting you, and so is it that why they just walked out, right? Because they maybe there was a lack of respect.
You're reading too much into this idiot's comments. Let me tell you who that is. I don't know.
That's why I asked you. That's why I asked you.
I don't know exactly who it is, but that's a John Muller lackey trying to get in there and back his buddy's play, right?
Obviously, they're definitely, not supporting you.
There are always hallmarks, signs of a John Muller lackey. One of them is cowardice, anonymity, which this fellow clearly has, okay, because he won't put his real name. I know it's not Keith Olsen. Keith Olsen would leave his real name, and the comments would be well worded. Okay?
But I don't think you've ever said anything about Keith Olsen bad anyway.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is Keith and John and the other core groups, the other core members of that group, they have these little lackeys who always benefited from knowing them, and they usually weren't the sharpest guys. That's how lackeys are, right?
Elected officials, yeah, I know.
So one hallmark of a John Muller lackey is always cowardice, anonymity. The second is always feeble-mindedness. If you look at these comments, they're not the most intellectually stimulating, right? They left because you're a clown and nobody respect you. Blah blah blah. Right. Like, all right, fellas.
And that's what I say. I'm sorry not to cut you off. I say that too, because people leave comments about me, like negative stuff too, a lot now, especially. And I just say, at least communicate, articulate what it is you're wanting to say, in a way that, listen, maybe you have a point. Maybe they're right. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but don't just, if you say clown or you say things like that, you kind of lose you're losing your message. You're not going to get your point across the best way, I think, anyway. So if there is something that maybe that they feel that, that we should know about you, that, listen, because I give everybody a fair shake, articulate that in a way that, we'll really, register with people as opposed to just coming up.
Which is why I don't really like wasting time on nonsense.
But I just wanted to ask you because of the respected thing and the fact that they just walked out on you. I thought that was kind of, I wanted to ask because of that. But anyway, so back to the policy. Did you want to number 3?
Okay, so number 3 is very important, obviously. Role clarification, conflict resolution. If policy or procedural issues arise during the preliminary investigation of a crime, other than the crimes referred to, other than major crimes, regarding the respective roles of patrol officers and investigators, these issues shall be resolved within the guidelines of this directive by the commanding patrol supervisor at the scene.
Right.
That was me. I was already there. The role of mediating conflict situations must be assumed by the patrol supervisor. The supervisor is responsible for ensuring a thorough, complete, and competent preliminary investigation. So if I'm the patrol supervisor and the policy calls for the patrol supervisor to make a call whenever someone feels like maybe they shouldn't be involved in something, what are they doing calling a detective sergeant who's not even at the scene?
Right.
To get that ruling. Makes no sense. Now, to this day, sometimes I'll argue with my daughter's mother about this whole incident. To this day, she screams her head off at me that her bosses, their bosses down at the detective division are the ones who get to make that call. And it's like, I don't have any here, but if I did, I'd pull it out. Because it's like, none of you have even read the policy. None of you even know it exists.
Well, because there's a culture that's existed. Yeah, I'm sure there's a culture that's existed for so long that people just operate within that culture and they don't bother to actually read the handbook, right? And
1,000%.
The policies 1,000%. And all that. And so, and so, but yeah, they didn't give you, see, and that's what's important. And other things, listen, as we know, anybody that's, worked in an area where they worked with a group of people and you have to work with, other people, colleagues to get things done, right? Would know that, we don't always follow. And I say we, because I've been in those situations, the protocol and stuff like that to the T. And sometimes there is some, modification or some, whatever. But at the end of the day, this is the policy. And no matter what, that's what you revert back to when there is debate or dispute or confusion as it was in this situation. So that's what should have ultimately overruled everything. And what it says here is that, like you said, shall be resolved within the guidelines of this directive by the commanding patrol supervisor at the scene. And they did not give you the opportunity to do that, right? You didn't tell them they can go ahead and go. And that's what they needed to wait for.
Well, look, if they had come to me and said, "Hey, LT, I don't really think we should be involved in this. Is not really what we do." I would have told them you're wrong, okay. But the thing is, they already knew that, which is why they didn't come to me. If it was legitimately something that they shouldn't have been involved in, they would have said, this is not really what we do. Do you want us to put the sergeant on the phone so we can tell you? That's not what was going on. What was going on is they didn't want to do their job, so they called a guy who they knew wouldn't care if they didn't do their job, as long as they left him alone while he was hitting the sauce. You know what I mean? And he said, "Yeah, sure. Just leave me alone while I'm drinking, and you can do whatever you want." Because the guy's always drinking at work. So
what is this? He told me to my face, "I don't argue. They are picking on him. They are picking on him for a second, but Anthony isn't telling anything close to the truth." I don't know if that. Oh, wait, here, let me start the beginning.
Who are you, fella? Come on.
I'm not a union guy. Tell them the whole story. Why V left you after you came home and saw her watching a movie with the black guy in the movie. Get the
fuck out of here, please.
He's a racist and he knows it.
This is the kind of shit that you have to deal. Bro, leave your name. Who are you?
And he told me to my face. So someone you told to the face that you were a racist. I don't argue, or maybe not a racist, that you came home and saw,
racism is one of the things that they throw at you when they're trying to get you into trouble.
I've been called a racist recently too. Someone once told me that minorities couldn't be racist, although I argued against that. I don't think that's true. But in any case, if you call me a racist, I'm going to stand by that argument, though. Minorities can't be racist, even though I don't agree with it.
So,
but anyway, go ahead.
I'd like to know. Forget that comment. I'd like to know what he meant by the other comment.
What is it
that he's not arguing?
He's a racist and he knows it. He told me to my face. That's what that person is saying. So, that's what they're saying.
This is what I don't want to get into.
I think maybe, and I tell people if they come out and show their, they give their identity, I think they then become more credible by doing that. It just
then we'll have a discussion.
Right. Let me see.
Not with baseless shit like that. Like, oh, you're a racist. Okay, bro, you're breaking out the easiest playbook in the world to try to ruin somebody.
Or that you are crazy, or just some procedure and protocol clearly wasn't followed here. Lieutenant DiMaggio followed departure guidelines. So negative comments here are clearly coming from the dark side. God bless our police department, and the administration should stop meddling in police affairs. And what do you mean the administration should stop meddling in police affairs? How has the administration meddled in police affairs? I'm asking. Post it. I
don't know. You have to ask John what he's.
Okay. But, so let's move.
There's 100 black people out there that you can, go out and ask about me, and they'll tell you the exact opposite of whatever this idiot's saying.
Yeah, but you know what I would say to that? That's the racist saying, "I got black friends. I'm not a racist."
Well, I mean, look. If I was a racist, there's people out there who's going to know it. You know what I'm saying?
Even if you were, I'm not saying you are. I wouldn't dislike you, or in general anyway. I'm going to say, I don't want to, because I don't want them to think that I'm saying you're racist. In general, anyone who's racist, right? I don't have an issue with people, because I always look at that's an issue with themselves that they have. And listen, you have to work that out. I can't do that about you not liking me for whatever. My skin or my ethnicity, but I also like to have teachable moments with people. And I've moved to Oklahoma. I lived there for 4 years, right? And so it was really a big shock, right? And there were, you had what you quote unquote rednecks. I don't want to say that, but that one of them became my best. One of them, redneck, quote unquote, became my best friend, right? And we learned from each other a lot, right? We did. So I just want to put that out there. We just didn't racism in general, because that's always something that's out there being put out there. That card is used a lot.
It's the great distractor. It's when you're losing the argument, you just throw
it does exist, though. That. And I tell you what, New York is more racist than Oklahoma. I'm just saying. But anyway, so this, we know the procedure, right? And from what I get, at the end of the day, bottom line, no matter what they should have done was at least come to you. And like you said, hey, LT, Lieutenant, listen, this is nothing that, we can do here, whatever. We got nothing. Do you mind if and you would have probably been okay with that, right?
No, I wouldn't have been. And that's why they didn't come to me. That's what I'm saying, right? So that's why they went around me to someone with more status, less rank, but more status.
And what would you have said to them if they did come to you and say that?
I would have said, you guys know you're supposed to be involved in this. You know you're supposed to be. So why are we going through this yet again? This was not the first time with this kind of
I was
stuff.
going to say, you say yet again, happened before.
Right. So what happened after this is basically I called her and I said to her, where did you guys go? I called my daughter's mother. I didn't know that she wasn't the air car. But I called her and I said, where did you guys go? Oh, well, Dawn spoke to Venturino and he said we could leave. Oh, I said, really? Did he do that? Yeah. Why don't you talk to him? I said, I got nothing to say to him. But if he did that, I'm going to talk to somebody. It ain't going to be him. So what I'm saying is I'm going to go to somebody even higher ranking than he is.
Right.
Now, that's a violation of the mafia like hierarchy. Okay. He's a made guy. I can't just do that. I can't go over his head. I outrank him. So according to the real rules, the real rank, I can. But according to the stuff behind the scenes, I'm breaking a rule.
In life, though, people don't like that, right? And like, for example, now I represent clients, against insurance companies, right, when their properties. And, I try to work with the individual that's been assigned to that, case for the insurance company. And I don't like to go over their head because I know I work with them more than once. I work many claims and I see them often. So to keep a good relationship, right, I try to speak to them if there is an issue, and I really wait till last minute to go overhead. Did you think maybe calling him? Why didn't you think of calling him first and say, let me call him and see why he made that call rather than go over his head?
Because, again, it was something that I had dealt with on a lot of occasions before. I was a little tired of it.
I think, what, you did say that in the email, something that happens quite often, and you didn't want it to, right, you did say that in the email.
If it was a one-off, I probably would have. I would have said, called him and said, bro, why are you doing that?
Have you spoken to him before about it, or whoever
No.
Have you ever spoken to the person that's, allowed them to just, leave?
Well,
like in this case, it was Venturino. Yeah, in this case, but have you
on
never
previous occasions?
Yeah, on previous occasions, whoever it was.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. I don't really remember any off the top of my head at the moment, but I'm sure I have.
Yeah, because that will definitely piss people off if you go over their head and go to their supervisor as opposed to talking to them. But sometimes there's reason why you have to do that. I know I've had to do that at before, but I do know that does piss people off. I bet the person screaming racism, I don't know, is one. I don't know what that means. Anyway,
yeah, if he's friends with John Mueller, I'm sure he is.
So you call the detective who happened to be the mother of your daughter, and she said Venturino. So you said, I'm gonna forget him. I'm not gonna talk to him. I'm gonna go to somebody else. And so what happened then?
And she, yeah, whatever, fine. She tells me. Then I texted her. I said, how many shots did he have before he told you could leave? Now we're off to the races. Now we're fighting like we do all the time. Bang, 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 back and forth, back and forth. She's nasty shit to me. I'm saying a lot of nasty stuff to her about her and her coworkers, about the detective division, what a scam it is. How everybody down there is, not everybody, but there's a lot of people. There's too many people down there for every reason under the sun, except having shown any investigatory prowess. Right? It's all politics. It's all
that's Yonkers, man.
It's diversity, which is in every organization pretty much across the country these days, and that's fine. There's always going to be some of that, but it's also who plays golf with this one, who drinks with that one, who's cousins with this one, who's married to that one, who do I owe a favor to, who can do a favor for the Spanos. It's like they're just giving out gold shields, which are important things. You're supposed to be giving them to the people who can perform. And there's so many that are given out to people who don't deserve them. And
so maybe they should create
like this happen.
They should create maybe like a policy where you have to meet certain requirements, certain standards, or performance in order to get a gold shield.
They would just ignore it. Even if they made such a policy, they would just ignore it.
What do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
So he starts calling me. We all got a few minutes left. How much time we got?
Yeah, we got 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
Okay. So she must have told him. She must have told Goomba, Anthony is pissed off and he's going to make a stink about this. He already told me that he doesn't want to talk to you, that he's going to go basically above your head. Now that's a violation, right, of this little hidden hierarchy. So now he wants to let me have it. He starts giving me, he calls the dispatchers, give DiMaggio a 10-1, which basically means give him a 10-1 to the DD, which means call the DD. Then he says, have him 10-1 to the DD forthwith, which means right now, like he's giving me orders. And I'm basically telling her, you know, like, LOL, tell this booze bag to leave me the F alone. I'm not talking to him. I've already made that decision. I'm not answering the phone for him. He was calling me from a restricted number, which I know is the detective division.
Right. And that's the same night, correct?
Yeah, this is all the same night. And I kept sending it to voicemail. He wasn't leaving me voicemails, but I knew that once he got mad enough, he would. And he's going to tell me what he wants to tell me on the phone. He's going to be an idiot and say it into a voicemail because he's that arrogant. And, you know, so I'd rather have it on a recording.
And maybe you say he drinks or he was drinking. Maybe that has something to do with his anger and stuff. Because, you know, I don't understand why he would even, you know, call you and leave that voicemail. And do you want me to play, you know, the voicemail?
Yeah. So after so many attempts to try to call me and get me on the phone, and me texting her saying, tell this asshole that I'm not going to talk to him, to stop trying. I even called the dispatcher and told her, stop relaying his messages over the air. I'm not talking to him. Okay. Now he leaves me this voicemail at 10, 11 or so at night. Go ahead.
I'm just going to play this. Yeah, giving me 1 second. I'm just going to set it up here. I have to share this. So, yeah, so he leaves his voice message. I played this voice message before. I was very surprised and shocked that someone would leave this message on your phone. This is before I kind of learned about the, you know, the other ranking, you know, whatever, the ranking system, because you did rank them. So,
first saved voice message sent yesterday, Monday, December 30th at 10:11 p.m. Duration 35 seconds. Hey, listen, I know you're a lieutenant, but if you have a problem with the detectives, you call detective sergeant. If you have a problem with that, you call detective lieutenant. I don't know who the fuck you think you are. If you want to play this game, you're going to lose it. I'll tell you right now. I don't know who the fuck you think you are. Save this message and play to whoever you want. Okay? There's a chain of command. If you have an issue with a sergeant, you call my lieutenant. If you have an issue with a detective, you call the sergeant. Don't answer my phone call. I don't give a fuck about you. Wake up. End of message.
So you admit you were ignoring his messages, which is a violation of policy. You want the policy number, Anthony? Is it?
Yeah. I don't have the policy procedure book with me, but, you know, I'd love to know. I'd love to know where it says that a lieutenant has to answer the phone for a sergeant who has violated the rules. I want to see where it says that I have to talk to him before I go to his boss, because I guarantee I don't. He doesn't work under me. I know how.
Why would they think that's a violation of the policy? Why would they think that? I mean, is there something
that might even be Goomba himself? To be honest with you,
is there something that states you have to, you know, or maybe some, you know, you got to communicate or something?
If you listen to the voicemail, what he says is he's trying to lecture me about chain of command. And he says, if you have a problem with the detectives, you go to the detective sergeant. And if you have a problem with that, then you go to the detective lieutenant. So he thinks that I have to start at the bottom and go through him to go to the lieutenant.
Right.
That's not how rank works. If I'm a lieutenant, I'll cut straight across to the lieutenant if I want to. That's how rank works. That's the whole point of it. What would be the point of it if I had to start down at the bottom with the detectives and go all the way up and talk to you?
Well,
first of all, I would have if my only problem was with the detectives. Okay. But when he intercedes and overrules me with no authority to do so, now he's part of the problem. And I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to his boss. You see what I'm saying? Now, if it was just a problem with the detectives, I would have talked to him.
Right.
But they're calling him to get out of doing something that they know they should be doing. Okay. He's given them permission to do it with no authority to do so. So now they're all part of the problem, except my daughter's mother, who was just there for the ride. She didn't do anything wrong. And I told her that in the text messages where I was letting her have it about her unit. I wasn't letting her have it about herself. I told her, I said, for once, this really has nothing to do with you.
For once.
One of the better detectives down there. That's what I
you got to watch
always...
it. Hey, Anthony, watch what you say, you know, just, you know, people are reading.
People who know her know that she gives as good as she gets. So it's not like, you know, and that's one of.
But you know, I just saying that, and I like to be honest, right? You know, I like to be straight up with everybody, you know, and that's why I'm the type of guy that you either like or you don't like, right? Because I just keep it honest. I don't know how to filter things, and so and I just say, you know, you saying some of these things and adding these things, you know, if I'm someone looking on, you know, I am on the outside looking in, right? But watching this as somebody, a viewer, I might be like, you know, this guy kind of he kind of picks stuff a little bit, right? You kind of poke, right? So when you say you're texting her, you're reaming her and going in about her unit.
Yeah, I was.
Why do that? Why do that? Just wondering.
Because I was hot and I figured it was a safe outlet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not going to do that to someone who you're not going to do that to.
But it wasn't her fault, all right?
No, it wasn't. But it wasn't her fault. But since we were constantly arguing all the time, anyways, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think she was ever going to sell out the way that she did. But there was a certain way
that's
that
gotta hurt. I see. That's where the pain comes from, huh? That's where.
Sure.
That's gotta hurt, of course.
Look, in hindsight, people have said to me, "Well, look, why would she do that? If they threatened?" Because what they did was they threatened to write her up. This is down the road. We have a few more things to get to before this. But what they basically did was they said, "Look, he crossed the main guy. Now we need a reason to destroy him. What you're going to do is you're going to go down to internal affairs with your phone." And you're going to make a complaint. She said, from various sources that I got, people close to the detective division down there, not just Timmy Hodges. She said, I'm not doing that. Okay. First of all, in police culture, it's very taboo for a cop to go down to internal affairs on another cop over bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Over an argument, over me cursing at her in text messages, which is her and I's life together for years. So I guarantee you, I know the woman inside and out. I shared a bed with her for a lot of years. We have a kid together. She would never do that of her own volition, ever. And she'll never convince me that she would. Right. So what they basically told her was, we know you weren't the air car, but you were there with them. And we know that Goomba gave you permission to leave on the phone, but that was a voice call and there's no record of it. So how are you going to prove it? As far as we're concerned, Anthony's right. You guys didn't do your job. And if the air car gets written up for it, which we will do, so will you. And your career will be derailed instead of his. So you want to save your own ass? He's going under the bus. You are now a victim. You're now a victim of a domestic offender. This lunatic, Anthony. Okay? That's how they turned her into a hell on wheels mutual combatant in our relationship, into this lost little babe in the woods victim. And they know what they're doing. They're cops. They're crooked cops. They know how to make a problem out of someone who's really not.
What about child support? Was she not worried about child support? I mean, if you lose your job, you lose your pension. How is she going to collect child support from you? I mean,
the family court will make you sell your house to make sure that she's paid.
Wow.
Yeah.
But at some point, that's going to run out. I mean, she wasn't thinking about the money. I got to get child support from this guy still.
Well,
she hurt his career.
I don't think she really knew that this was going to end up in my termination.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Because she got, she did what she was basically put in a corner, feeling like she had to do to get herself out of a little trouble that she never even should have been in anyway, because she didn't do anything wrong that night, But they basically said, listen, we'll fabricate the evidence against you if you don't help us do it against him. It's that simple. So in hindsight, I'm not mad at her for it. I'm really not. And I told her that because if anybody's going to fight with these people, it has to be me. Okay. I have a small army of people who they've done in the same way, all supporting me. They got my back. If I need them to come to court, they're going to come. I have a support structure with my family that, we all make money. So I'm like her, if she would have lost her job, forget it. Her family would have been destroyed.
No, I get it, but I was just thinking about that. I said, I she didn't think about that part, but we'll get into that, I'm sure, as we get into the part more about her and, what, I guess was talked about in terms of domestic stuff and all that, what they try to put against you, and go into more details next week, possibly. But we'll get there. And maybe we'll even go all the way up into the lawsuit. This could be a whole real one day you may make millions of dollars in a Netflix series here with this Anthony DiMaggio, folks.
Any comments not from the Mueller lackey leaving the fake name?
Yes. Someone asked if there will be no integrity. Do you think do you think that inside culture will change? Will that culture change there?
I think it has changed a lot. A lot of the older guys, when I got on, a lot of the salty old vets and stuff, a lot of them were loudmouth racists. They would drop words that, forget it.
Yeah, Yonkers was a very racist place back in the 80s, especially. It was rough.
And it lingered until the years around when I got on the job. There was still a lot of it.
I would say racism is a form of hate, and people just are always going to hate for one reason or another. You might hate this guy because he's more successful than you, or he has a prettier wife than you, or, you know, he's whatever color, right? Racism is just another form of hate, you know, and unfortunately as humans, we just have hate for one reason or another. And so, you know, I don't know if we're ever going to come together.
I'll guarantee you this idiot leaving comments like that is a stone cold racist. I'll guarantee it.
Well, he definitely has hate for you. The administration should focus on keeping our taxes low and help make quality of life issues a priority, not getting involved in our police department. We have a hood police commissioner. Let him police our city without the second floor interference. We have a hood police. I didn't know Chris Sapienza was from the hood. He looked like a Crip. I knew he would look like a Crip. He was throwing up gang signs, I think, at the Cops and Coffee. Just kidding. I think he meant
the department itself. The stuff about the department itself, how it's changed over the years, is all stuff I'm willing to get into. After, you know, we're done with a few more podcasts where I'm talking about my own situation, because I want to get it out there mainly to let the cops know what happened, because there were so many people who bumped into me and asked me, and I'm like, bro, it's too long of a story to tell in 5 minutes. You know, right? So I need podcasts. I need hours worth.
Well, this has been part 7, so I mean, and now we're going to part 8. So it's definitely, but it's good. I like it. I enjoy people actually, you know, say a lot of good comments. These podcasts get a lot of views. People, you know, reach out to me, or even if they see me in person, they'll say something to me about it or ask me when it's coming on. So yeah, you know, I got a lot of feedback and traction on these podcasts. You know, people are interested in knowing what's going on. They like to hear it from the inside, you know, and hear it from someone who actually experienced it. You know,
these anonymous comments, it's like, look, I don't mind. I really don't mind them. What I don't like is that they take up time and they divert from the topic. So it's like,
oh, please, I already wrecked you, son, in person. So maybe you might know who this is.
I have no idea who that is.
Very small support group. You and Sally Balls. You
see the feeble-mindedness? You see the low intellectual IQ of the commentary?
Right.
I don't even like to waste my time with it. The guy's a moron.
Well, I mean, you know.
Whatever.
You know, you know, when you come on here and I learned this, you know, and you start doing this stuff and podcasts and you put yourself on the public platform like this, you know, you're gonna it's gonna come with the territory, right?
Leave your damn name, man. Leave your name.
Then that's never gonna happen with some people, and you're just gonna have to deal with it that way. I mean, and I mean, all kinds of crazy things. One woman told me that she has removed my street protection. I'm no longer protected in the streets.
Oh.
I didn't know she was doing this. I don't even know her. I didn't even know.
Right.
But I guess people were protecting me in the street that I didn't even know. This is the true message I got a couple of days ago. It's unbelievable. Okay. Christopher Sapienza is a great police commissioner. Let him police our city without interference from the administration. You know, like you said, a lot of the culture has changed, you know, and so hopefully it's gotten better for the people that are in there. But anyway, we'll be on next week, Friday at 8. Folks, again, if you have not seen the previous podcast, make sure you go back and check them out. This is part 7, so there's 6 episodes to catch up on. And then next Friday at 8 will be part 8. I'm Freddie Vasquez with Anthony DiMaggio, police lieutenant of the Yonkers Police Department, 15-year veteran, man. You weren't there for, you know, 2 years, no shorts. You know, you were there for a while. Nowadays, that's a lifetime at a job. People don't stay at jobs very long, maybe 5 years, and they up out of there. They don't want to let you know who they are. Tell us who you are. These people that respond in a negative way must have a rap sheet a mile long. Well, some of them might be police officers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is definitely a John Mueller lackey, 1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, and you're gonna probably see more of this, you know, as the. I'm just going through the comments here. I think that unless you want me to post all the ones from Tasman. Other than that,
I mean, I really got no use for this guy. So if you want to reach out to me offline and tell me what kind of shit he's talking.
Well, you can see the comments. You go back on the podcast. You can see all the comments. They'll be there. You know, I'm sure more people will add comments as well.
If he wants to leave his real name.
His lawsuit, but has zero respect as a boss. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics, folks. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story.
My pleasure. My pleasure. See you next week.
Folks, give the man a round of applause at least for being brave enough to come out. I mean, really, people in the city of Yonkers are truly scared to speak their truth because, listen, other people will see things differently, right? So I say speak your truth. And I don't, I don't take away from anyone's truth, right? So that's your truth. That's your truth. So, but a lot of people are really scared to speak out because of retaliation. So I want to thank you for being brave and coming out. Somebody said, whoop, whoop, whoop. I don't know what that means. Folks, join me on Sunday. I'm going to discuss our assembly running for re-election, Nader Sage. I'm going to break down his interview. There's a lot going on. It's going to be a coup d'etat in politics this coming elections. You got to check it out.
Hopefully.
Bravo, Anthony. Bravo. They have rap sheets too. Pull a FOIA report. I'm Freddie Vasquez, folks. Thank you for joining me. See you on Sunday. Where's my video? I always lose it. Folks, that was part 7 of the Anthony DiMaggio interview. Former police lieutenant who was terminated after a workplace dispute in where an officer who he outranked in the official ranking system retaliated after getting upset for not picking up his phone call. And since this officer, who was outranked by Lieutenant DiMaggio, was a higher rank in a secret ranking system, he was able to get Anthony DiMaggio fired. So if you want to know exactly how they did it, go back to the older podcasts 1 through 6. And you'll see exactly how they did it using a psychiatrist and other allegations. I'm Freddie Vasquez, folks. Join me on Sunday. Peace out.
I was raised in In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me. And I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
No!
Freddie wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
That's a lot of stars. 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 Are we? Let's make it happen, guys. Make me happy today.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Letting you feeling off easy. Are you doing interviews right now?
I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want some of the butter chicken. So thank you. I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want some of the butter chicken. So thank you. I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want some of the butter chicken. So thank you.
Fredo Vasquez. That page, that's Fredo Vasquez. That's my fan page. One of my fans created a fan page for me. It's called Fredo Vasquez. You'll know it's the page when you see the picture of Pee Wee Herman. Although I prefer Mark Anthony, which I get called a lot. Believe it or not. That's right, ladies. I get called Mark Anthony. A lot of times, man, they call me Mark. But my haters call me Pee Wee. Check out my fan page, Fredo Vasquez. And the dummy spelled prodigy wrong. Obviously not a prodigy. Wilson, that's not me commenting. I don't love you.
No!
I don't love you.